Hi, I'm Jeff Dixon. Welcome once again to Urban Legends, where we're looking at urban legends. Some of them you're going to know, some maybe you've never heard of. And as we look at the urban legends, we're going to then try to make the jump and make some spiritual application or some spiritual lessons that we can learn that help our life that we learn from the urban legend, if that's even possible. We just looked at Robert the Doll. I told you, I've been there. I've seen Robert the Doll. I've seen people ask for permission to take a picture of Robert the Doll, which is weird. I've looked into the face of I don't even want to say it's a good looking doll. It's not. It's a weird looking little doll. And then, of course, you begin seeing all of the stuff, the wall of notes and all the stories around Robert the Doll. It's just a weird kind of experience to see. But what does it teach us? Well, there's a lot of lessons as a pastor that I would share that we could learn from Robert the Doll. And the first one would be simply the power of belief. Robert the Doll is associated with all sorts of supernatural events. And to me, it highlights how our personal belief and our willingness to believe can impact our experiences and shape our personal experiences. I think we can learn that our perceptions and beliefs can influence our reality. It reinforces the idea that faith, positive or negative, really does have an impact in our lives. It really does. For those that are afraid of this urban legend, they approach this urban legend radically different than a skeptic like myself does. And at the end of the day, they walk away with a very different experience than I walked away with on that day. Also, there is an underlying current of Robert's story that really does have an application for our lives today. And it's simply that we need to have a healthy respect for the unknown. Let's be honest, there's a lot that happens in the spiritual realm that we have no clue about. We've talked about it on other episodes and other programming here at the Church at 434 in Motion. While this is an urban legend, to be sure, it does open the door to the fact that there are people out there who are always looking to try to explain the unexplainable and trying to come up with some ways to formulate what they see as supernatural events taking place in their life. What you have to come to grips with as a follower of Jesus is that there is a whole world of things that are happening that are beyond our realm and our ability to see and even understand them. And there are spiritual forces at work in the world around us, and you have to be aware of that if you're a follower. Also, there's also a lesson about the consequences of actions. I was struck by the fact that before you visit this doll at Key West, a museum curator, a docent, whoever's on duty that day, goes through what is, to them, a very important list of rules that you need to hold on to and comply with. And if you don't, they basically give you disclaimers that they're not responsible for the fallout of that. Powerful reminder that everything we do in life does have a consequence. There are always consequences for our actions. And so visitors who have gone in with attitude or disrespecting the doll talk about the sense of unease that they feel, or sometimes they even feel sick when they're done being in the presence of the doll. Our actions do have consequences. And if you're going to be a good follower, you're very much aware of that. But Robert the Doll does remind us that we need to be mindful of such things. And then the last piece is probably way too spiritual for Robert the Doll, but you forget the origin of the story. It was a gift that was given to a little boy who at the time needed a friend, and the doll became his best friend. In our life, we meet people all the time who really do need a friend. They need that relationship. They need that someone in their orbit that will make their life better. For this little boy who named a doll after himself, it became the doll and it became obsessive. Part of the growth of the urban legend has become of that weirdness. But in our lives, it's not weird at all to seek those kind of relationships and to seek healthy relationships where we can connect with one another. You're created for connection. And so don't be afraid to connect. Don't be afraid to let yourself get in touch with other people who love Jesus like you do. And don't be afraid to connect and build those relationships. They'll make you stronger and they'll make you better. And that's not the stuff of urban legend. That is the stuff of reality. And so you decide. Are you afraid of Robert the Doll? Is Robert the Doll really just an urban legend? One way or the other, there's some lessons that we just learned from Robert the Doll that can make your life better here and now. And that's not an urban legend, that's reality. I look forward to joining you in our next edition.